GMB.TV. Hope you're having a good one. What's good? What's good? What's good? So it's kind of an eventful day, right? I mean, I woke up this morning, saw a ton of news, and sat back and said, do I expect anything in the market to actually happen? You know what I mean? Do I expect to have, some volatility, some movement, things like that? Stock market, flat. All right, crypto space, flat. Nothing's popping yet. Will that change when we get the FOMC minutes? That would be interesting. That would be ultimately interesting. What time does it happen? Today at 2 p.m. Today at 2 p.m. we're supposed to get those minutes. So that to me ought to be interesting. Something else that was interesting to me, there was a scammer, a Canadian-based scammer that posed as a Coinbase engineer and was able to snake out about $2 million from unsuspecting people. Do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. The more research you do, the smarter you get. The smarter you get, you build from there. And that will also help you with recognizing scams. It will definitely help you with recognizing scams. So don't give out, in order to send and receive assets, you have to give out and share your public keys. Public keys, okay? You do not share your private keys. Just a quick little PSA, just so you know, okay? Do not share your private keys. Public is okay, private, nuh-uh. Just saying. Trust Wallet's December 25th hack, or Christmas hack. The company is now looking at all the addresses that have claims and gearing up to actually start paying those people back. 2,596 verified compromised addresses, 5 claims, 2,596 verified addresses that were affected. Just going to put that out there for you. This is what these companies face every day, all day, every day. Right? And some of it could be, a percentage of that overage is going to come from people that honestly thought they were affected. But I would say the bulk of that overage is going to come from a little bit of people that have, not been processed yet. And the rest of them, scammers. You know what you're doing. Scammers. That's how I'm going to put it. And one more thing before I even move on. Don't forget to invest in yourself today. Every morning I type that message and every morning I mean it. Do not forget to invest in yourself today. That's a big deal. Okay? It's a very big deal. Because I'm going to ask the question later. Did you invest in yourself today? Just saying. And it's expected that you actually say, hey, I invested in myself today. It's a constant reminder that this is what we have to do. Whether it be when I was a kid, I had a job. I got my first job, first real job. And my mom was like, this is what you have to do, son. Every paycheck, you have to buy yourself a piece of clothing. I don't care if it's underwear. I don't care if it's socks, but you got to buy yourself a little something. And the way she taught it to me was, it's a need that you have, but it's a direct investment in yourself. So don't just go to the store and buy a pair of Fruit of the Loom just because, mom said to, invest in yourself. No. It was take care and buy yourself something. Put the rest of it away. But that's your first investment. And then I got into reading the paper every day and do it. So I've been researching since I was a kid. My mother taught me how to properly fold the New York Times when I was still in single digits. That's right. PS13, Mrs. McDonald was my principal. Loved that woman. And one of the assignments there was to find an article in the New York Times. Imagine grade school. You're out there finding, articles in the New York Times. That's crazy. Yo, Felix, thank you very much for that. I greatly appreciate that. What else is going on in the news? Protests in Tehran erupted after the Iranian rial dropped 40%. They're having a massive fiat problem. Massive. And what are people falling back onto? Crypto. That's where they're headed, crypto. And I'm just looking at everything. I'm looking around the world. I'm looking at who's hurting. I'm looking at who's not. I'm looking at how they're moving, what their outlook is for digital assets and all that of the good stuff. Now you understand why I'm still here, why I keep sprinkling. That's right, baby. Sprinkle, baby. Sprinkle. Dollar cost averaging into the digital asset market. The same way I, sprinkle into my businesses, sprinkle into stocks, bonds, options, all that good stuff. Why? Good to diversify, right? In my humble opinion, good to diversify. Two, it's good for you over the long run, or at least it has been for me, and that's what I tell my kids. I tell my kids, it's good for you over the long run. Just do the math. It's good for you over the long run. Even if you just keep up with inflation with the amount of money that you make with those investments, isn't that good for you? Because at least you're trading in that day's money. And like, do the math. Do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. But it all starts with your first investment, which is yourself. Just saying. And I need you guys to do the research. You want to know why? Because I don't know everything. And as a community, if I do some research and you do some research and they do some research, together we've got a lot of good information that we can start with, right? That's the difference. That's why I love this community. You know how many times I've asked questions and I've been like, hey, I don't have the answer. Can somebody look that up for me, please? And bam, somebody has the answer. And it's amazing. It really is amazing. What else do we have? BlackRock's BUIDL tokenized fund distributed $100 million in dividends this month. $100 million. Imagine. That's pretty. I'm telling you, that's pretty hot. Let's fix my notes. Crypto derivatives trading hit $1 trillion in monthly volume this year. Driven by decentralized exchanges and perpetual futures, with Hyperliquid dominating and allocating $31.2 million in hype tokens to team members. Remember what I told you about who's working on what, how long they've been there, what have they touched, was it successful? Hyperliquid as a team, Hyperliquid as a project is not playing games. Positioning the project well. When I look forward and I say, well, who do I think is going to survive? That actually sounds like a good show, doesn't it? To sit down and we walk through like the top N number of projects. And we say, we start to talk about who's going to survive and who's not. Maybe I should develop a list, have everybody send me like 3 projects that they would like to discuss. And then we start hammering out each one of those like once a week or something like that. Do we think it's going to survive? We started talking about doing that from a tokenomics perspective a while ago. And I think now we actually have the tools to be able to do this. I have to see if I'd be able to use the tool live and have it come back in time as we're discussing things, have it come back to me in time to actually do stuff. That'd be amazing. Noted. U.S. Representative Maxine Waters called for a hearing with the SEC Chairman Paul Atkins over alleged crypto enforcement failures, citing examples like Coinbase and Binance amid the SEC's relaxed regulatory approach. What she's saying is that, listen, I just reported yesterday that the SEC has dropped like 60% of the crypto cases. And I think she's kind of like, I can understand dropping some, but to just arbitrarily just drop them, I don't know about that. And that's where she has a problem. She's kind of like, hey, man, we should probably look into that. Let's not do this all willy nilly. Like, I know it's coming, but let's not do this all willy nilly. People shouldn't just get a pass for doing everything. She might have a point. She might have a point. Don't just write it off just because she's a Democrat. It has nothing to do with politically. I think it has everything to do with we should be paying attention and putting the proper guardrails in place and not giving people passes just for the sake of giving them passes. That's my humble opinion. What else is going on? UK consumer spending declined year over year for the first time since 2020, the disposable income falling about 0.8% in Q3, while health and beauty products and music tours saw increased resilience. Interesting. People that have money can spend money. So the same thing is happening there that's happening here. People that have money can spend money. The top 10% in the United States account for 50% of the GDP here right now. The other 90% of the population is the other 50%. And I don't see those percentages getting better. I do not see those percentages getting better. That's a problem. That's a problem. We have too many things. I honestly think that we have too many things in play to see an easy year next year. It's going to be a tumultuous year for stocks. It's going to be a tumultuous year for digital assets. You want to know what I think is going to be interesting? I think it's going to be a very interesting year for mergers and acquisitions. You heard it here first. I think it's going to be a very interesting year for mergers and acquisitions. Yep. What else is going on? Spot XRP ETFs recorded $1.15 billion in net inflows over 29 days. Straight positive inflows for XRP ETFs. So everybody comes to me and says, well, XRP isn't doing. I sit there and I just go, clearly there's a demand. Clearly there's a demand. Something that we have to actually make note of, make mental note. We keep harping on the retail market not getting into the market. This right here is a sign that the retail market is getting in. They're getting in a different way. What we need to do is get them educated. And then when they start getting educated, they'll start to realize, oh man, I can do this direct. Let me go do it direct. That's when you're going to start to see a difference. In my humble opinion, that's when you'll start to see a difference in how things are working. Crypto derivatives trading, I'm still sitting here, $1 trillion monthly volume in 2025 on average. Derivatives trading. And I'm just like, 1 trillion. That's a T. Trillion. Just saying, there are things that we should be paying attention to, things that can help us make decisions, things that can point out things to us that highlight. Collect the pearls of information. Collect the pearls of information, and then you can see if those pearls belong on the same strand. This is what I teach in my Learn How to Do Your Own Research class. That's what I teach. I'm thinking about doing another live Learn How to Do Your Own Research class because I think there are a lot of people out there that don't know how to do their own research. And there's a lot that goes into it. It's more than just reading the headlines, reading the articles. There's like a process that you can see things. And as you're reading headlines and reading articles, it helps you to identify at what stage something is at. So I'm thinking about bringing back that class, like a live class. So we have an online version that's coming, but then we have a live class that I actually do. I'm thinking about bringing that back sooner rather than later. If you're interested, drop me a note in the comments. I will see those on YouTube. I'm not necessarily responding to comments, but I do see them. The team sees them. They let me know what's going on. Mostly, I pay attention to comments that are over on Grow My Bag. So if you really want me to see things, go to Grow My Bag, become a member. It's $1. It's $1 a month. I'm pretty sure most people can afford $1. Just saying. With, like this morning, we've got 20 some odd articles published this morning. Whatever you hear me talking about, it's most likely an article on the site right now. Yep. Every morning, every evening, throughout the day, if you see me yapping, there's probably an article. Just saying. What else do we have going on? We've got Bitcoin's 30-day realized volatility dropped to 45% in 2025, comparing to silver's 55%. That's interesting. That's very, 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 very interesting. With silver surging 151% due to supply constraints. Wow. I knew there was a surge. I didn't realize it was that high. While Bitcoin fell 7% year to date amid liquidity issues. Telling you, when I look at the market now, I'm really going to be paying attention to what's going on in the ETFs, because that happens OTC, or the equivalent of. It's not, in market. So that's something I'm going to be paying attention to. A South Korean exchange operator was sentenced to 4 years for attempting to steal military secrets for North Korea using hacking tools and receiving 700 million won in Bitcoin. Caught out there. Yeah. North Korea is a problem for everybody. North Korea is a massive problem for everybody. Just saying. Oh, yeah. That scammer that was caught that I was talking about earlier, that person was caught by our lovely friend, Zach XBT. No, I don't know him or her personally, but Zach XBT is all over it all. Whoever they are, love you. Analyst Brett Knobloch predicted Bitcoin's downturn was a temporary pullback, citing shorter drawdowns, Fed rate cuts, and regulatory support, contrasting with historical 75% market crashes. Not 100% wrong, but I think it's a little bit more than just a pullback. I think right now we're dealing with manipulation. That's a part of it, along with all of that. Mostly manipulation, though. That's how I'm going to look at it. Institutional investors adopted Bitcoin option strategies for all coins to manage volatility, driven by the October 2025 crash, market crash, with STS Digital highlighting. That's the company who did this report. STS Digital highlighting covered calls and put selling as key tactics. Years ago, I told you that they're going to wind up bringing stock market skills over to the crypto markets. And some of those skills will translate well, and some of them will not. Some of them will work at some point, and some of them will not. These happen to be in play. We'll see how that works out for them. But you hear a lot of people hedging their bets. Oh, I've got some shorts on this. I've got some longs on that. Blah, 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 blah. And I sit there and sometimes I wonder, are you using those words to make it sound like you're smart, or are you using those words because that's what you're actually doing? And yes, I judge. Why? Because you might be a good source of information, or you might not be. So I have to pay attention to that. Right? Maybe what you're doing is a good idea, and I want to pay attention. So I'm qualifying you, and qualification is just another form of judgment. Just saying. Nothing to be mean, but gauging what people are saying and what they're doing and what the results are. Right? It's what our clients do to us. They want to know what are the results going to be. Big deal. Russia updated digital financial assets, DFA regulations, classifying them as securities and real assets with retail access to inflation-linked DFAs starting in 2026. Yeah, interesting. Yeah. Russia to me is all over the place. They really are just all over the place. That's why I do watch BRICS. Russia's economy is not doing well. Brazil's economy is not doing all that great. India's economy is not doing all that great. They've got issues because you have a lot of things going on in India that affect the rupee. China's economy isn't all that great. Most economies around the world, not that great. Being serious, dead straight up, not that great. Something to be paid attention to. Just putting it out there for you so you have an understanding about what's going on out there. That's why I bring you all this news so that you can have a foundation upon which you can build your knowledge about what's going on a daily basis. What's the idea? Do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. That's the GMB 3. It's not go buy this, sell that, do this, flip that, touch that, blow on this. No. It's all about you. Do your own research. I might mention something and you go, oh, that sounds interesting. Go do your own research on it. Know your entries and exits, not just the price points, but the path for acquisition and the path for sales. And absolutely invest deliberately. What that means is the word invest isn't always about putting your money in, putting your value in. Sometimes it's putting your value in. Sometimes it's holding fast. Sometimes it's pulling your value out. Right? Sometimes that's what it is. There are 3 facets to investing, and you should be paying attention to each one of them depending on what it is that you're talking about, as well as what is your risk framework. Some people might call that your gut. I look at it as, yeah, it's kind of your gut. It's your brain with stuff in the background that's calculating on your behalf and just saying, yeah, no, don't do that. Up here doesn't understand the calculations that happen back here, and it says, oh, that's my gut. My gut tells me don't do that. I have a feeling. Your brain made a calculation, and you haven't sat down to understand that calculation yet. That's why I say sit down, write it down. Write down what your mindset was and all that good stuff. And at the end of the month, you'll be able to look back and go, oh, wow, my gut told me all these different things. What was my mindset? What was my attitude? What was I talking about? And you'll start to realize I have a risk framework. Yeah. Because your gut call doesn't necessarily work for me. My gut call doesn't necessarily work for you. It's the corners of my brain that are doing calculations on my behalf that I don't necessarily recognize up front, but that I try to write down and understand after that so I can quickly call it. Be like, oh, my gut is saying this. It must have done this calculation. I'm going to pay attention to that. Because over time, I'll start to see my gut doesn't like these kinds of things. Why? Could be because it's missing data. It's misaligned with how I buy and sell. Could be any number of things. But this is why I pay attention to it. This is why I share it with you. Everybody has their own risk framework. It's up to you to understand which one you have and what yours is like. Tokyo listed Metaplanet acquired 4,279 Bitcoin for $451 million, raising its holdings to 35,102 BTC. They're not worried about being a treasury company at all. Just saying, some of these companies have a plan. Crypto analyst Michael Vanderpop warned most altcoins may fail in 2026 due to poor tokenomics and competition. What have I been telling you guys? You're going to see a great culling, and that culling is projects falling by the wayside that couldn't handle it. It's going to start with all those crappy meme coins. Cute names, yeah, they'll fall off by the wayside. Technically, they'll still be there, but nobody will ever talk about them again. They'll go into that bucket. They'll wind up being delisted and all that good stuff, and nobody will pay any mind to them. Culling. Then you'll have consolidation. Consolidation is these two projects starting to work together to combine and create a bigger, stronger project. Sometimes you combine because it means survival. Sometimes you combine because you need the team. Look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA just bought a company. Why? Because they get the staff. Yes, they get access to all the tech, but they get the staff. They get that knowledge base. Big deal. Very big deal. Just saying, pay attention to these things. Robinhood's Stephanie Guild projected an 8.7% rise in the S&P 500 by the end of 2026, with tech stocks expected to grow 27% despite risks like government shutdowns and interest rate fluctuations. Her and I are aligned. We think that in general, the market's going to do well. But it's going to be painful getting there. Volatility is what we're talking about. We're talking about volatility. So position yourself for a volatile 2026. Do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. It's no joke. It's no joke. Pay attention. Show up here every day, learn something, get the news, go do your own research, and act as you will. This is Eddie J. Oh no, I'm not done yet. What am I doing? And how could you guys let me sit there again all this time and not have the logo up? You're killing me. All right, let me take care of this. Let me get my notes out of the way. All right, let's start with the stock market. Yeah, Dow futures implied open 25 points down. S&P futures implied open 6.25 points down. NASDAQ futures implied open 25.25 points down. What does that all say? Oh, yeah, it says the market's flat. Oil up 0.2. U.S. 10-year up 0.002. It's a flat market out there. We'll see what happens when those FOMC meeting minutes hit and how it's going to make people feel. That's going to be interesting. Who comes out with news today with reporting? Let's see. You've got Barnes & Noble Education. You've got Big Lots. Anybody else in here I'm paying attention to? That's it. That's all I'm paying attention to. You might be paying attention to a couple, but I'm not. Like I said, FOMC meeting minutes come out at 2 p.m. You've got Chicago Business Barometer, PMI, coming out 9:45 at 9. You have the S&P Case-Shiller report. That's going to be interesting. Crypto Fear and Greed Index, we dropped a little bit from 24 down to 23, so we're still in extreme fear. DeFi Llama, we've got $118.557 billion in total value locked. That's down about $2 billion from yesterday. Again, things we should be paying attention to. What else do we have? I'll move this right to the middle so everybody can see it. Look at that. Sideways. Couple of heartbeat trades right there. But yeah, we're moving sideways. We're moving laterally. And we seem to be existing between 87,438 and 93,434. We're moving laterally, folks. So pay attention to the digital assets that you want to play with, and pay attention to what you could be making. Right? Pay attention to what you could be losing. You might actually find opportunities where you can identify, oh, it went up a little bit. Okay, I can sell right here. It went down. Oh, I can buy in over here. And you might be able to play that volatility game. Do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. These are things that we must pay attention to. Coin360, looking at the big board, nothing here is doing all that well. So to me, everything's on sale. BTC, ETH, BCH, XRP, Solana, if you're into that kind of thing. Cardano, Doge, Sui, XLM, Avalanche. Aave is something else I'm paying attention to. Link, Uniswap. There's Aave over here. XMR is something I'm always going to be interested in. Hype is going to be something I'm interested in. Ton is something I'm interested in. Sui is something I'm interested in. And don't sleep on Leo. Do your own research, but don't sleep on Leo. Another one I don't sleep on, BNB. When you move over here, you start to realize, oh wow, BNB is number 4. Interesting, right? And by the way, year to date, BNB, you're making money. You're 21%, over 21% up with BNB. Can't say that for Bitcoin, can't say that for Ethereum. And yes, I do have a bag of BNB. Just saying. Right? You look at the big board and you kind of see who's doing well. Bitcoin Cash, people laughed at me. I'm up 38%. Say what you will, but that's been a good investment for me. Monero, kind of iffy over the past few days, over 7 days, but when you look at it over year to date, up 122%, over 122%. Just saying. And is anybody paying attention to this little stable coin just sneaking up the charts? Yeah. That's what I'm saying. You're gonna see stable coins easing up. You're gonna see a lot of them land in the top 25. There's DAI. There's Athena, right? USDC is up there. USDT is up there. You've got stable coins that are making it happen. Also, something else that I'm paying attention to, it's not making money for me right now, but it's 35%, in the red. Stellar. All this market upheaval, and Stellar's still making noise. Amazing. Just saying. Another sleeper, Avalanche, in my humble opinion. Avalanche is another sleeper in my humble opinion. Sui's been battered and battered and battered. I think when the market goes up, Sui's going to explode. Look how far down it is. That's crazy for Sui. H bar, another one, getting hammered, and I'm sitting here and I'm going, wow. Do I have a bag of both of those? Yep. I only have a little bit of Avalanche, but Hedera I have a lot of. Sui I have a lot of. I've got some Litecoin. I've got a bag of Stellar. Shiba Inu, got a bag of that. That's another one that I think is going to blow up at some point. Toncoin, I think, is going to blow up at some point. There are just those ones that I pay attention to. Anyway, everybody, this is Eddie J on Crypto for GrowMyBag.tv. I hope you like what I'm doing. If you do me a favor, smash the likes. Tell your friends about this community because it's the only one that talks to you about increasing your knowledge and your education. Anyway, as always, thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. And always, 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 thank you for your trust. Me and my team will work for that every day. I'll see you later on tonight on Overflow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be ready for it. Everybody, have a good one. Bye-bye.